and you can hear all the music going on. What a fabulous, fabulous production. Look, I got my girl, Kay Nicole here. She's one of the producers of the show. Kay, how did you feel tonight went?
I feel like tonight went very well. Everybody did a phenomenal job. The performers, the designers, like the models, it was just a beautiful showcase.
Did you feel like this would have been so great? I mean, the music, everything, the DJ, like how long did it take for you to put all this together?
This was a month and some change in the making. So there was a lot of work that was put into it, and of course with any show, there's going to be things that you didn't recognize and see, but we're expecting our next showcase to be even more fabulous than this one.
Look, I know you do a lot more stuff, so what is the next production you have in mind? When is it going to happen?
Well, I'm working with Johnny on his fashion showcase. So this was his first showcase, and we're looking to have another one probably in a couple of months. For me, I'm continually working, putting out photo shoots, whatever, acting. There's so many other things, but right now I'm putting together a car wash. So that's going to happen in August. So anybody that's looking to get their car washed, make sure they go and follow me and everything. Come on out, because it's going to be a good.
Look, guys, come on out. And I actually see lurking in the wings. I see Johnny has Johnny Productions, right? Hey, Johnny, how are you? How did tonight go for you?
Oh, it's been crazy. It's been really crazy. But I and my partner Kay working with me. We thought it was a great show. My first real production. I worked on the productions, but my first one, along with my partner, and we did good. We just got to fine-tune a few things, but basically we did really good. And I'm just hoping it's the beginning of bigger and better things to come. And more.
I was just about to say that. I said this is your first, but I could see a lot more, right?
Yeah,
so
you're definitely gonna see a lot more. We should have another one coming up at the end of August. We want Fashion Week, and we're gonna give you the details over the next couple of weeks. And I'm just happy everybody came out, have a good time, and we're gonna get the designers to come say a few words. Thank you for everybody coming out. I appreciate it.
So don't go nowhere. Kay, how can people follow you?
You can find me on Instagram at KNicole85 or Facebook, KNicole.
How can people follow you, Johnny?
Oh, Johnny Border Productions. Johnny Border Productions on IG, and Johnny L. Silman on Facebook.
Look, this is your girl, Miss Tony. I thank you guys for having On the Move with Miss Tony here. I just love you guys. So stay tuned. We got a lot more going on. Stay tuned.
got the freedom dress. They got it on. Even your girls are dressed to kill. You pull up to the spots. It's in top styles. Because alright, alright. You and your girls are always in the nighttime. Where all your dreams will come true. Nightlife be really for you. In the nighttime, where all your dreams will come true. Your beauty will shine like the moon. Join the lights, lots of lights. Sharing bottles, everywhere. A fellas trying to say cool when they stare at you. Because you know they don't wanna talk to you. But you know with the games, yeah. These wonderland names, no more. Energy and eyes is all you crave. That is in the nighttime. Where all your dreams will come true. Nightlife be really for you. In the nighttime, where all your dreams will come true. The beauty will shine like the moon. Yeah, in the nighttime, sound like it. In the nighttime, oh, in the nighttime, oh, yeah. Switch it up in the nighttime, oh, in the nighttime, in the nighttime, oh, in the nighttime, where all your dreams will come true. Your beauty will shine like the moon. Visual platform, except that last one. Yesterday I liked that and I might record that one. I saw I might record it. You better. Yeah, so that being said, my name is Clef. You can check me out on you can Google me. Even better. CLE''PH. Got my own website, clefmusic.com. I want to
Tony's on the move again. Tony's on the move again.
You're watching Brooklyn Free Speech HD.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am not Craig T. Williams. My name is Matthew Allen. I'm the founder and co-producer of BRIC Media Maker Weekend, and it is my esteemed pleasure to welcome you to our 2022 Keynote Address for our homecoming theme for the year. You are in a special treat for tonight as we welcome Mr. Craig T. Williams.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for being here. Let me set this up. There we go. Thank you to BRIC for this amazing invitation. I feel really honored. Who am I? I'm a husband and father and writer and a producer. I'm co-founder of Redwall Productions, a film production company I started with my wife, Rosalind. That's the red wall. I painted it myself. Why that name, Redwall Productions? Rosalind and I moved into this apartment and we did something neither of us had ever had the guts to do in previous apartments. We painted. We chose the color red for this wall because it was a feng shui kind of thing. Red can be used to invite prosperity and wellness and luck. Red is related to fire and energy and passion. So when we were thinking about the name for our company, it was right in front of us. In 2002, we launched Redwall Productions. Our company is 20 years old. Who are you? If I went around this room right now and asked you who you were, would you be able to say it confidently, without looking away, without shuffling backwards, without a quiver in your voice or a doubt in your heart? Some of you can. Some of you still may have an issue, and I get it. It was a long time before I could. The world can be unkind to artists. Artists can be unkind to artists. So when we talk later and I ask you to introduce yourself, I want to hear your name and I want you to claim who you are loud and proud. August 22nd, 2022, I get an email from Matthew Allen of BRIC. In his email, he asks, in part, we would be honored for you to speak to our attendees about the importance of versatility in media making, your journey and your skills in one area of media making can translate how your journey and skills in one area of media making can translate to another. Wow. Me? That guy? Are you sure? Oh, Black Jesus, I sure you know what you're doing, getting yourself into, Matthew. But here I am. What we'll cover tonight, what I'm going to share with you, is a bit of journey, a bit of lesson, a bit of straight talk, and a bit of hope. And then we'll do a Q&A where I hope you'll have questions for me. In the beginning, okay, maybe not that far back, but look how cute I was. I'm a Harlem-born kid, literally born in Harlem Hospital. When I was about 8 or 9, I had an older cousin. He was a tennis nut. Nobody in the family played, so he decided he was going to teach me. The first time we played, My first time on a tennis court, I beat him. He's still salty about that. He bought me my very first tennis racket, and I was hooked. I couldn't find any pictures of me playing tennis, so that's Arthur Ashe. But it's significant because if you were a black kid in the 70s playing tennis, you were little Arthur Ashe. There were some other black tennis players, but really Arthur Ashe was it. You gonna be the next Arthur Ashe? My cousin, who I would play with frequently and beat all the time, takes me to this black tennis club in Harlem. What? There's a black tennis club in Harlem? It's the 369th Regiment Armory. It's on 143rd Street and 5th Avenue on the west side of Harlem. It's massive. It's got nets and just this huge place. And there were all these black tennis players. Blew my mind. They offered a free tennis program for kids twice a week. Wednesday, 5 to 8 in the evening after school. On Sunday mornings, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Yikes. By this time, my mom, stepdad, and brother and me were living in the Bronx. But a lot of my family still lives in Harlem. My grandparents live on 143rd Street and Bradhurst Avenue. So I would spend Saturday night there, and at 5:30 a.m. on Sunday mornings, take the 20-minute walk across Harlem to my tennis lessons. I got good. I became a junior tennis champion, winning tournaments up and down the East Coast. There were trophies and ribbons and such. I did this all up through college. I went to Morehouse. Some of you might know, since we're in Brooklyn, that Spike Lee went to Morehouse. He was only a couple of years ahead of me. I didn't know that yet. Film was not on my radar. My college life was unremarkable. And I don't mean that to be self-deprecating. I just didn't know what I wanted or what I wanted to be or what I should be doing. I got back to New York. I get a job almost immediately at Chase Bank in their stockbroker trainee program. I figured I'd have a career on Wall Street, make some money. I quit after 3 months. My mother was very upset about that. It just wasn't the life for me. I went back to the only thing I kind of knew. I played tennis. So I started to teach, give lessons. I started a youth tennis program in the Bronx where I was living. Got sponsors and rackets and shoes and such. I'm making relationships and saying yes. One of those relationships was a woman I was teaching tennis to. Her family owned a travel agency. They were looking for part-time help, and the perks were amazing. At this time in the travel agency, you only had to pay 10% of what the airline ticket cost if you were an agent. But this small mom and pop and daughter agency that I'm working for, they were gonna pay for that because I was making very little money. Hotel rooms are 75% off or free if I can get them. So I see the world. Everywhere this 20-something person wanted to go, I went. And I'm in first class, y'all. I am flexing. And fronting because I can't afford that seat. I go to Australia and to Hong Kong and to Europe and every Caribbean island in first class. But it isn't my job just to go to clubs and hang out and order room service. I have to get to know these places that I'm visiting because I have to bring them, these experiences back and be able to relay them to our clients. I have to craft stories of where I've been. I'm learning to tell stories. I'm also getting these questions from people I meet around the world. When they find out where I'm from, I get, what's New York like? Is Harlem dangerous? Do you know Biggie Smalls? How many times have you been shot? Because what they're getting from what they watch on TV and movies is that black people are villains or victims. I get invited to audition for a film because I'm making relationships, I'm in the arts, I start going to plays, I'm in New York, I'm hanging out, I can tell stories about travel, so people are inviting me everywhere. And then a friend, somebody that I meet, says, come audition for this film. You need to meet, and he tells the director, you need to meet Craig. I auditioned, I left the room. The director, Brooklyn-based filmmaker John O'Oliver, ran after me and said, you're not right for the part, but I really like your energy, and I'm gonna write a part for you in my movie. So I got cast. It shoots in Brooklyn. I get to set, and it blew my mind. It's a short film, but it's a huge production. The street is blocked off. There are police manning barricades, crew scuttling about. Some with a walkie-talkie says, "Talent has arrived." I'm talent? Yes, I'm talent. They take me to Holden where the talent sits. There's some snacks and food and stuff to nibble on. My scene is going to be shot after lunch. Lunch will be served in about an hour. I'm like, "It's okay, I brought a sandwich." He said, "Oh, that's cute." Nobody told me that to feed you on set. Some sets I've worked on in later years, I wish I still had that sandwich. It was an amazing experience. The best part, the absolute best part, oops, I went ahead, is I met her, Rosalind Coleman. She's in the movie, and she's standing. And if she was standing here, she'd say, "Yeah, but who's the star, baby?" I'm like, "You are, honey." I found out later that the original lead for this film was a man, but Jono, the director, loved her audition so much that he changed it to a woman, and she got cast. So pair that with the thought that he wrote a part for me. Neither one of us was supposed to be in this movie, but we were. 6 months or so after the shoot, I'm working at a travel agency in the Village of the corner of West 4th and Bank Street. It's an agency that's a storefront so I can see people passing by. And I see Rosalind walk by. I ran out, and she remembers me. We catch up, and I ask her out. You've already seen this. Next month, we'll be married 21 years. But while we're dating, the short film that we met on got into this thing called Sundance. Oh, we have sound. There we go.
Hey, what's going on here?
I look up, and there it was, right before my eyes.
I try to tell my beloved there's a logical explanation. Scientific even.
Yeah, it kind of look like mildew or something. You know, that shit's hard to come off. You gotta scrub it sometimes.
So where is this bathroom?
Let me get a closer look. Go on these in the damn toilet. Now, this is getting kind of crazy now.
What exactly is the image in the bathroom window?
Can I get a whoop whoop for cheese?
Yeah.
What's the problem here? What's everybody looking at?
Maybe some people just see what they want to see.
Yeah, Jono, friend Jono. So we go together, Rosalind and I, to Sundance. I find out that this woman that I'm dating is in 3 films at Sundance. Who is this chick? She is painfully shy about her accomplishments. She's about the work, period. So we have something in common. That year at Sundance, there were a couple of films shot digitally, not on film. One movie was edited on an iMac. It was the beginning of the digital revolution. We have conversations at Sundance that digital is the future. It's going to make movies much cheaper. Many of the filmmakers are like, digital is a fad, it won't last. They were not correct. We noticed the filmmakers like our friend Jono were getting a lot more attention than the actors. Roz and I promised ourselves that we were gonna come back here as filmmakers. We go back to our lives. It's a busy year. We move in together. Roz is in a movie with Meryl Streep. She gets cast in a TV pilot that shoots in Toronto. She does an off-Broadway play that gets rave reviews in the New York Times. Me, I do an off-Broadway play somewhere in the East Village where my character wears a diaper. Don't look at the PowerPoint. There are no pictures. So one of us is doing this acting thing right. One of us is not. So I stop before I hurt myself. 9/11 happens 2 months before our wedding. The travel industry crashes, but I still keep my job. I'm now travel director of the National Hockey League, making 6 figures, my own office, inside the NHL headquarters on 53rd and 6th Avenue. I've never been to a hockey game in my life. Still haven't. Still haven't. I didn't go. And you're going to find out why. We remember our promise to go back to Sundance as filmmakers, so I start writing. I take a class at SVA, School of Visual Arts, on screenwriting. I write a script, and we think it's pretty good. One of the another amazing discoveries I make about my wife, Rosalind, is that she's a tech geek. She loves gadgets and gizmos and computers and all that kind of stuff. Roz says if we're going to make a movie, we should buy one of those digital cameras that's coming out. She does all the research. We use some of our wedding gift money, and we buy a camera. Canon GL1, state of the art. Cost $2,000. My God. That little thing, that's a lot of money for a camera. And then the plus side is that it doesn't use films, it uses mini DV tapes. Hold 60 to 90 minutes of footage. They cost $8 to $10. The digital revolution has arrived. Roz is learning how to use the camera. She makes little practice films, editing them on her iMac. That with all the bells and whistles cost $1,200. But we want to make a movie like our friend Jono did. Roz is going to write and direct, and I'll manage the money of paying for it. But we decide we're not ready to shoot and produce this at this level ourselves, so I hire a producer. He budgets it, schedules it, and tells us it's going to cost us $30,000. Between us, we have about $10K. Now, this is before Venmo and PayPal and GoFundMe and Kickstarter. We create a fundraising letter, but who do we send it to? One of us has the genius idea to use our wedding list. We had the home addresses, it's a little sketchy, of over 200 people who had already proven that they would give us money. So we did this thing, and kids, for the young kids, there was this thing called mail. It was envelopes and stamps, and you had to spit on it and lick it, and then put it in a box, and then wait 2 or 3 days or a week for the person to get it. And then the person would get it, they would read it, they would regard it, and then they would decide whether or not they wanted to engage. And then some of them did. They wrote a check. A check is a piece of paper. It's got a number value on it. And then they would put it in an envelope with a stamp and then lick it and spit on it. And then send it back to you. And then 2 or 3 days later or a week later, you would get a check. We raised $40,000. People were so excited. Roz and Craig are doing a movie. Craig and Roz are doing a movie. Her grandmother called me one day. She's very annoyed. It's like, I heard you were making a movie. Why didn't you ask me for money? I was like, well, Grandma Louise, you're retired. We didn't want to inconvenience you. She's like, boy, I can buy and sell you. She sent us a check for $500. That's a lesson. When you're raising money, don't guess people's pockets. You'll always be surprised who will and who won't. I told Roz I spoke to your grandmother today, and besides offering to put me on the auction block, she sent us a great check. The movie we made was called Driving Fish. It's about a single black woman who's got daddy issues and relationship problems. That's the first couple of minutes of it. Thank you. Okay, y'all. Lighting a set can make it really hot. Putting lights on a goldfish bowl can make it really hot. I'm sorry to say animals were harmed during the making of this movie. Driving Fish, our first film, gets into 25 film festivals, but not Sundance. Doesn't matter. We go to some of these film festivals, and a lot of them are Black-owned and Black-run. LA, Detroit, Chicago, Atlanta, San Francisco. We're meeting filmmakers, watching other films. It was amazing. We made a lot of mistakes. There were lots of lessons to be learned. We spent too much money. The story was too much. We did this. A 43-minute African-American dramedy. 43 minutes. That's not good, y'all. We cut it down to 29. But to make a 43-minute short film, we didn't know, right? It was the learning. It was the lesson we had to learn. The producer we hired, and I'm not saying he took advantage of us, all I knew is that I never again wanted to feel like someone was taking advantage of us. So that meant I had to learn the whole thing. So I threw myself into it, like I'd done for many things before. But this time, I have an amazing partner. And we're carving out our duties, what she likes to do and what I like to do. I like to produce and write. She likes to direct. And we learn to edit together. She says we have to buy editing software, Final Cut for iMac. It costs $1,200. This is our setup. She says editing mini DV tapes from our camera will wear it down. We need to buy a mini DV deck. How much does that cost? $1,200. But now we can do everything ourselves. We're empowered. We make a lot of practice films, one-day shoots. By the way, I'm still working at the NHL, but I'm sneaking out of the office more and more to be on set. And when I'm actually in the office, I have my final draft screenwriting software loaded into my computer, and I'm writing scripts. One day I come back to the office after a very, very long lunch break, and my boss is sitting there waiting for me. Where you been, Craig? Doctor, emergency, lie, lie, lie. I don't know what I said, but it was a lie, lie, lie. A couple of weeks later, I disappear, and I come back to my office again. 3 of my bosses are waiting for me. Well, I just decide enough is enough. So I quit right after they fired me. Now I got this business that we're running, and I got to make a go of it. So we turn our practice films into a business. This is the beginning of actors wanting reels to showcase their work. It's not something we invented. Somebody else was already doing it, but they were charging actors $5,000 a project. We're going to charge $1,000 or $1,500 and get 3 or 4, sometimes 5 actors to pool their money together, and I write a 3 to 5 page scene where each of them gets a moment. We did a bunch of those. Here we are. This is just some of our mini DVD tapes that we collected. The downside of the digital age is you can just shoot crap all day long. And we did. Some of them were terrible. Lighting was bad, sound was bad, but we're learning. Actors were bad, they're learning. And we're cranking them out. Raj is shooting and directing them, I'm writing them, we're editing them. I'm learning what my writing looks like, the good and the bad. And Raj is so good at helping me craft stories and moments that actors want to act. Our scripts are getting better. And then we'd like to do what we call marquee shorts, where we'd put extra money, we'd spend more time on the script, I'd still produce, and Roz would direct, but we'd hire the crew, a good DP, sound, lighting, talented actors that Roz knew or that we got from auditioning. Our first film, Driving Fish, over $40,000, 8 locations, we shot in 4 days, but we have great talent. Our second film, a short, we spent $5,000, 2 locations, 2 days, but we still have great talent. It's called Allergic to Nuts. It gets into 50 film festivals around the world. But now, life has moved on, and we have a baby. A little chocolate drop, as my friend April used to like to say. What do you think we did? We took him with us. Look how we rolled. We were swagalicious. We made all of that stuff. The brochures, the t-shirts, the flyers, the baby, we made all of it. I edited the trailer that played on the loop on our laptop, had someone design the DVD covers, found a place in Brooklyn, always Brooklyn, that made 100 DVDs for $200, packaged them. We would carry all these things from festival to festival, set up tables, sell our DVDs for $10 or $20. It would help pay for the trip. And we were advertising that we were available to help you make your project. Come work with us. And they did. Big budgets, small budgets, dramas, comedies, documentaries. We're hiring actors, DPs, crews, paying them. Creating relationships, inspiring filmmakers, and being inspired by them. These are the people who are doing it, making investments in themselves. But there's also a whole other group of people that we're meeting. I got an idea. Can you give me the money to make it? You're a producer. Yes, I am. And no, I can't. Or I get, I've been writing this feature film for 12 years. I'm almost finished. When I do, can you help me get it to Viola Davis? I think she'd be amazing as the crackhead mom. No. Hard truth. No one wants to make your crappy project. Now, I may lose some of you with that, but I promise you're going to love me again. I want you to have two reactions when you hear that. Who does he think he is? Where's his Netflix show? Where's his HBO show? But I also want you to think, this is a great project. It's worth being seen. I'm gonna make it. So forget what he says about my crappy project. I know for a fact that no one will make your crappy project. You think anybody but us would make this? A 43-minute African-American dramedy? About a black woman with daddy issues? We were unproven and unknown. It was our job to change that. It's your job to change that. You have to make your own crappy projects. But you gotta make a lot of them. If you put all your energy and hopes behind one idea, that's a lot of pressure. You want a lifetime of creativity. Art is about being brave. This is a quote I love from someone named Ira Glass. You might have heard this before. It's called The Gap. Nobody tells this to people who are beginners. I wish someone told it to me. All of us who do creative work, we get into it because we have good taste. But there is this gap. For the first couple of years, you'll make stuff, but it's not good. It's trying to be good. It has potential, but it's not. But your taste, the thing that got you into that game, is still killer. And your taste is why your work disappoints you. A lot of people never get past this phase. They quit. Most people I know who do interesting creative work went through years of this. We know our work doesn't have this special thing that we want it to have. We all go through this. And if you're just starting out, or if you're still in this phase, you gotta know it's normal. And the most important thing you can do is a lot of work. Put yourself on a deadline so that every week you finish one story. It is only by going through a volume of work that you will close that gap, and your work will be as good as your ambitions. And I took longer to figure out how to do this than anyone I've ever met. It's gonna take a while. It's normal to take a while. You just gotta go through it. So don't quit. And there are a lot of reasons to quit. Sexism, racism, homophobia, xenophobia, classism, ageism, ableism, sizeism, stupidism. About 4.5 years ago, I took a workshop on pitching, specifically for TV writers, led by two amazing women who have become mentors and friends, Liz Garcia and Francine Volpe. By the way, if you want to talk about mentors later, ask me. If you want to talk about, think how to get an agent, ask me that later. At this moment in time, Liz Garcia was co-showrunner, and Francine was one of the writers of a new TV show that was being developed called P-Valley. Francine asked us, what is the thing you're afraid to say out loud about being a writer? There's about 10 writers in the room, or something to that effect. I don't know what I said. I really just don't remember, because the guy after me, a middle-aged white guy, said, I'm afraid I'm too old to do this. That hit me like a ton of bricks. That was it. The thing I was afraid to say. I started making films when I was 35-ish. At this time of the workshop, I'd been doing it for 16 years. You do the math. I was 41 years old. Yeah, you get that joke? Okay, I wasn't. You got to carry the one. I know how old I was. I was seeing if you were paying attention. It's 51. You got to carry the one. See, that's how old I am. We don't carry the one anymore. These two women said something to me that changed my life. They said, you're not too old. That was it. By the way, this morning I found a picture of me with a tennis racket. But, I didn't want to mess up my whole presentation, so I just slipped it in there. So, you're not too old is at that moment the thing I needed to hear. And then I started writing. I wrote the stories only I can tell. I filled the gap with my craft. And I just kept writing. And I ran with it. Contests, fellowships, new reps, pitch meetings. I meet showrunners and executives and VPs of this and a senior VP of that. People in situations I never had access to. With all the stuff Roz and I did, suddenly I have access to. I made room for them in my life, and I let go of the crap that did not belong to me. It's the hope. Make something, write something, act something, direct something. We spent $2,000 on a camera 20 years ago. You have the most powerful filmmaking tool we've ever had in your pocket, in your purse, some of you in your hand. Right now. You can get it all without leaving your phone. You can do it all. You can attach a microphone to it. You can get film software that'll make it look film it. You can get adapters. You never have to leave this. You can edit it on here. There's no more excuses. Make something. And don't get it right. Get it done. And then make another thing. A proof of concept, a trailer, a teaser, a short, a feature. Make it. Not to sell. Yes, of course you want to sell it. But because it really does fundamentally change how you move in the world. Stop overthinking the content you want to put out. We all start somewhere. Adjust your expectations. That thing that you're doing may not launch you. It may, but it may not. And if it doesn't, make another thing. And another thing, like we did. We just kept making other things. And people I know kept making other things. My journey here includes sitting in audiences just like this with other filmmakers, with other like-minded individuals, and saying hello, and asking them about their work and sharing myself with them. And some of them I ended up working with, or working for, or they worked for me. Where I am now is a journey of my own making. There was no roadmap for who I am. I could very well look at where I've been and how I got here, and pardon my language, call myself a fuck up. I really could. I think some of you do that. You regret the decisions you didn't make, the roads you didn't travel. But how do you know that what the other path would have given you? You're here now. Gather your journey together and see it for the things that it gave you. Some good, some bad, all of it useful. There were definitely terrible moments on this path, but I survived it. I survived them all to tell a story. And sometimes I ask myself why. This is my why. Your why doesn't have to look like this. Your why could be your parents, your family, your history, injustice. You got to figure it out. And I think the way to figure it out, figure out your why, is the work that you do. Themes and moments and characters pop up again and again in your work. That's why you got to make a lot of stuff. Because this why determines the what. Stand in the power of your journey and don't judge it. Embrace it. Thank you. Q&A now. I don't know how this is going to work, but thank you all. Thank you. Yes, question. I think we're supposed to do it differently, but you know what? You're here. You raise your hand. Let's go for it. Yeah, give me the microphone. Please tell me your name. There you go.
Interesting story. Very interesting.
Thank you. Is that a good interesting or bad interesting?
It's very good interesting.
Okay.
My question is, you just gave a nice interesting, how does you feel every time today's the day you came to BRIC to give out the word, right? Yeah. How do you feel with the audience as you embracing your story?
Yeah.
How do you feel? I noticed you was a little tearing up there.
I did, because this is an important part of my life, right? So it's not just making things, it is sharing what I know. Because it was really, really hard to find information. And I remember meeting a writer when I just started. I didn't know him, actually, he was a neighbor, right? And my wife knew him. And she went up to him, and he was kind of, he had a little bit of crush on her, and I get that. And she's like, Craig is a screenwriter. He's working on some stuff. Do you mind giving him some pointers? He's like, sure. And then I see him like walking towards me, and he looks away like I stole from him. And every time, to this day, it's been 20 years, that dude will not look me in the eye. And I decided I never wanted to be that dude. I never wanted to be the person that didn't have time for a filmmaker, that didn't have time to share. Now, I have to manage that, and I do in many different ways. I have a Facebook group called Black Screenwriters. We have over 20,000 members, and I am the only person who runs it. It's a lot of work, but I created a safe space for Black screenwriters to have information and to build community, because that's what this is. So BRIC coming back together after 2 years, it's important that you come to these places and meet each other now that we can. That's why That's what I feel when I'm sitting here. I want to make a space where you can meet other people, other filmmakers, and then listen to me gabble for 30 minutes or so. Oh, thank you.
Good evening, young man.
Can I take this off? Okay, yeah, much better.
Good evening, how are you? Creativity. What I find, when you start being creative, how did you go from not being creative into being creative? And explain to people, you can't be shy. Let creativity come out. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Creativity.
Yeah, it's not asking for permission. It is deciding. You know, I meet a lot of filmmakers, and it's like, I'm not sure how to write this character, or I'm not sure what story to tell. You do, but you just don't want to decide because you think you're going to make a mistake, because you think you're going to write it wrong, because you think you're going to be broke and nobody's going to love you, right? So it is about making decisions. And you can't go wrong because the creativity is in you already. We're all a collection of everything we've watched and read and seen. So we love movies, we love stories, we love all kinds of things, and it's in us. And it has birthed something in us. And so we have to use our own experience and then marry it with what we know, and that's creativity. And you just got to do it. You got to decide, this is for me. I don't need a license. I did not go to film school. You heard my journey. Anywhere in their film school? Did not do that. Not that I'm poo-pooing film school. I have a lot of friends who've gone to film school, and they owe a lot of money. So, but you just got to make the journey that's right for you. We built our own film school, right? And we paid ourselves doing it. But that was an invention. I did not know if it was going to work. We just tried it. And we didn't ever say no to ourselves. Because if you say no to yourself, how do you expect me to say yes to you? All right. Come on, y'all. It's church in here. All right? Come on now.
Well,
where are we?
Right here.
Okay, hey.
Right here.
Yes.
Cowboy hat. Right here.
Oh, there we go. Right in front. I'm looking over here and over there. There you go, sir. Hi.
Yeah. Okay, I appreciate you, and
Please tell me your name.
I'm Pop Gaskin.
And what do you do, sir?
Gaskins. I have a lot of titles, but I did over 13 movies as well.
Okay.
And tomorrow I'm doing over Bill Duke's Godson.
Ah, nice.
But the question is, how do you feel when people get jealous of you and hating on you for what you're doing? Because
I don't know none of those
I
people.
did a lot of movies. I did a lot of movies, and friends and family got jealous.
Yeah.
On me, as well as my fan of Wu-Tang Clan.
Yeah.
And so, but I don't care. I don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I keep on doing it. And like I said, tomorrow I'm doing with Bill Duke Godson.
Nice.
But when people be jealous of you and hating on you, do you keep on going on, or you don't care?
Listen, it is, first of all, I'm sorry you went through that, right? I'm sorry that we have to experience, jealousy and that kind of, those silly emotions that come from their damage, not yours, right? So I really don't notice it, right? And one of the things, you saw I celebrate my wins. You have to. There's so few and far between that you got to celebrate it when it happens. And if somebody can't listen to it, that person's not for you. You got to move them out of your life. Just, we know how to do that. We know how to shade. Really, don't spend any energy thinking about it, sir. It's just not worth it. Not worth trying to prove that you were right and they were wrong. Because you are right and they are wrong. So the argument's over. So you don't need that person in your life at all, ever. And I don't know those people. There you go. So there you go. I love it.
How you doing? Donnell Johnson.
Hey.
Brooklyn, New York. I do podcasting and I do filming. My question to you is, When you're shooting your projects, do you still get any butterflies, if any, before, like during the shooting or when you're about to finish up a project?
Yeah, I mean, you know, there's always an unknown quantity when you're shooting, but I battled that with preparation, right? So hiring the right people, being in constant communication with people. Are you ready? Is this ready? What do you need? And every time I learned something new about something I didn't get right. Every time, right? So even I did a shoot during the pandemic, and we had a great crew, and I'm just gonna tell you, because it's just you and me, right? And anybody else watching. So I was able to get a lot of stuff for the DP, who was new to all the equipment. I was like, listen, we got an in-kind service, so you can actually go to this house, this production house, and get any kind of camera you want. I was excited to do that for them. They got stuff they couldn't handle. And that was my mistake, not asking, have you ever worked this camera before? I didn't ask that, because I was excited to be able to give it to them. So now, next time, and this person had a camera, their own camera, which we could have used. But the opportunity that I was able to give to use this huge piece of equipment and all the things that come with it, when we got to shoot, they just weren't ready to handle it. And so we lost time every day. And that was my error. I have to take responsibility for that. But now I'm asking now, right? So that's another check mark, another thing I gotta ask myself. So every production brings me a new error. Sometimes they're big, sometimes they're small. We made our days. It was great because we had a great crew and great cast, and they eventually caught up, and they're a really good DP. But it was that learning curve that I didn't anticipate. And just another thing I got to learn. So I never stop learning. So as far as butterflies or stuff like that, I don't really get nervous because I know that I've prepared for the big things in order to make room for the other things that are going to go wrong. Hey.
Yes, my name is Yusuf Ali Muhammad. Basically, I'm a writer, and I wanted to get into film and things of the nature. So that's why, matter of fact, the lady invited me this from Atlantic Antic. I was at Atlantic Antic, and they was passing out their stuff, and then I said, okay, so I want to check it to see if I can go to the next level.
All right.
So what I'm asking you is this. You as a black man,
yes,
filmmaker, writer, did you find out that you had to, you wanted to give it your all, but you had to, give it less, or you wanted to say something that was going to be a bammer, but then you toned it down a little bit?
Yeah.
Right. So what I'm trying to ask really is, what would you recommend? Would you recommend that I just, because I would like to just hit the ball out the park.
Right.
But some people say, no, don't hit the ball out the park. Just hit the second base. Hit it the third. Don't hit it out the park right away. Bring it down a little bit.
Yeah.
So I want to hear, because right now when I heard you, I really respect you. I thank you for coming out to share with us and to give us inspiration as well as aspiration to continue the journey.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
So you're asking me, do I have to compromise my blackness? Listen, let's just talk about it. What are you asking me? Is that it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I heard you. I feel you. I know it. No, you don't, right? It's a very tricky thing because there's still a dominant culture that runs Hollywood. They make decisions, right? So it's a very slippery slope in compromising my voice. I have to collaborate. I have to make things clearer. It doesn't mean that I'm going to change it, but if I got to blaxplain, I will. You got to decide what's your goal. What is your big goal? Is it to get this thing made, or is it to be right? What's your goal, right? So I look at all the filmmakers I admire and the things that they had to do. I look at Steve McQueen. He's a black British filmmaker, right? He had to make some films with white leads and this and that to get to this story he wanted to tell called Small Axe, which you can watch on Amazon. So Sometimes you got to play in their sandbox in order to get to the point where you can tell your story. My value right now is actually not the stories that I want to tell. My value is helping them tell their stories, because they don't want to make my crappy projects. They want to make their crappy projects. And sometimes they need an authentic voice, i.e. black, i.e. queer, i.e. this, whatever the flavor of the month. It's like, you know, we need some, gosh, we're telling this black story, but our writers are white. Like, you know, Woman King, right? So there's a white female writer who wrote the original story. There was a white female producer who conceived of the story. And then they got it to the black women, Gina and Viola. And the head of the studio is a black woman. Her name is Nicole, I think. Might be messing that up. But she's the one who greenlit the project. So actually, it was 3 white women who started it, and 3 black women who took it over finished it, right? So it's a dance you got to do, right? So you got to think about what's important, and if it's important to you to be as authentic as possible, then you got to do things on your own. If you want to play in their sandbox, you got to learn to compromise and collaborate. And then some you're going to win, and some you're going to lose. But the bigger picture is you will make something, and then live to make another thing, and then live to make another thing, until you get to the point where you can make the thing you want to make. It took Steven Spielberg 15 years to make Schindler's List, because nobody wanted to tell his story. He was already Steven Spielberg. Now imagine what they're going to do to us, right? So it is just about biding your time, and if you collect your nickels, collect your coins, go make your own thing. That's it. Sure. Hi.
Hi, my name is Ekwa. I'm a host of Afrolit Podcast and, you know, writer as well.
You said that a little.
I know, right? I need to work on that. Let
Yeah, I heard you.
And a writer.
There you go.
Yes, I think, you know, so we live in an age, like you said, where we have access to, you know, whether it's iPhones and, you know, we can make shows and post them on Instagram and all these things. I would just love to hear more about your opinion on not getting overwhelmed with all of these different platforms and, like, you know, speaking to aspiring filmmakers like me, wanting to, like, break into that space, how to really, like, use them to our advantage.
Yeah, you gotta go where it feels organic for you to be. I got a TikTok channel. I got 3 videos on it. I got time, right? I'm on Instagram. You'll see lots of pictures of my family and me being here. On Twitter, I engage with writers. It's a big writers community. So I'm there just in some, you know, that's where I engage. On Facebook, I have my Black Screenwriters group. So I have to pick and choose where I spend my time. It's not mandatory that you be everywhere trying to do everything. That is too much. You got to go where you feel like you can be of use and that's useful to you. That's it. And that's how you manage it. Don't feel like you got to be everywhere. It's just, it is. It's too much. It's overwhelming. I had a meeting last night with a showrunner, and I Googled him, right? I did all those things, and I noticed that in 2018, he stopped all social media. He's got a 4-year-old daughter and a 1-year-old son. That's why he left. And he's like, you know what? I couldn't anymore, and I just stopped. And he's not missing a damn thing, because nothing's really happening. So do what you can do, manage the way you can manage. And there are all kinds of ways where you can say, if you want to be consistent about it, that you post twice a week or, you know, every other day. I don't know. You just got to figure out how it fits into your life. And what is the purpose of you being on that platform? Do you want to make TikTok videos? Do you want to have as an outlet for your filmmaking? Do you want to be on IG and use the Reels as an outlet for your filmmaking? Whatever that is, go where it's useful to you and then do it, and then forget about all the other things. So,
Jason Thomas here.
Hey, Jason.
Brooklyn, New York. I'm also a student radio host. Also, I wanted to say, like, when did you feel financially stable to, like, leave your job? Because I remember you were telling me that you used to take longer and longer work breaks at this sports place you used to work at, right? So like when did you feel comfortable to be like, you know, I don't really care. I'm just gonna quit after they fire me?
Tomorrow. I'm not there yet. Listen, I'm on a hustle all the time, right? So even the quitting was taking a chance on myself. It wasn't about so much the money, although the money is important because I'm a dad and I got a rent and we got bills and my son liked blueberries and blueberries are expensive and he started college and so it's a constant thing, right? But I'm really lucky because I partnered well and we you know, she's up and she's down, you know, the life of an actress. She's a working actor. She's not making millions of dollars a picture. You know, she'll do 1 day or 2 days on a Law and Order or Blue Bloods. She used to be a whole lot of, and he went that away roles. You know, you see, yeah, officer, I see him. He went that away. She did a lot of those. And then what they do, you know, to black women is, you know, she graduated from he went that away to now she's a judge, right? She's a lot of judges, right? So she's like, counselor, not in my courtroom. Mm-hmm. So she does a lot of that. But they pay, right? And it's insurance. She's doing a play right now in Houston. She's been there for 2 months. She comes home next week. It's equity, right? It's insurance weeks. That's important. So there's some real practical stuff that we have to think about. And she was on Broadway in To Kill a Mockingbird. That got shut down, the pandemic and all that stuff, and it finally got shut down. So she's like, all right, I'm out of a job. I got to go get another job, right? And she's always auditioning, always doing things. So the money thing is very real, right? And one of the things that I was able to do was pivot from the actor stuff to the corporate stuff, all right? So that's really what today pays a lot of my bills. I produce commercials for the city. I did a whole bunch of, they're all sort of social campaigns. So we've done a lot of vaccination commercials the last few years. I did one anti-smoking, and those pay, right? Because I did Citibank and MetLife, and those things came from the relationships that I made. Some DP on something says, hey, Craig, I'm shooting this. They can't find black people. And they want somebody. And they're looking for some black actors. And I was like, well, I know a ton, because at that time I had a list, because for all the things we were doing, I had a list of like 5,000 actors that I would email. And what I would do if you were a filmmaker, you would come to me and you say, hey, Craig, I'm looking for such and such and such. And I would send that out to my email list. My only criteria was that you pay them. And it had to be $50. I don't care. But as long as you're honoring their time in some form or fashion. And then, so I had this massive list. And then people knew I had this massive list. And so friends who were doing corporate stuff would call me and say, this company or that company needs actors. And then I would charge them an arm and a leg, because I could, because they don't care, right? It's not their money. And that's really how I make my living now. So money's a very real thing, and I don't think we talk about it enough.
Hi, Craig.
Hi, where are we?
I'm right here in front of you.
Hey!
Hello,
Hi.
how are you?
Good, thanks.
Good. Okay, full disclosure, I know him, but that's okay. He's like, I don't know who you are right now.
I can't see, it's mask, come on.
It's Letitia. It's ridiculous.
Okay, I love
But I'm going
this
to give you a
woman.
question.
Hi, Queen, how are you?
I'm good, King. How you doing?
I'm
Welcome
good.
to Brooklyn.
Thank you.
You know. So my question for you is, could you share with us some of your best practices to get started? Now, when I say that, you know, whether you're producing or writing, I think a lot of times we have all kinds of awesome stuff bubbling, but, oh, it's so much, and then where do you start?
Yeah.
So for you, can you share with us some of the ways you kind of kickstart your process, and how you honor that too?
Yeah, yeah. So Letitia and I known him for a long time, and we have been in the trenches of screenwriting groups. And there's a group called the Harlem Dramatic Writers Workshop. They meet monthly. We've been doing it. I don't know, she was in it before I was, but long time. And it was a space where you could go and meet writers and share your pages. And it was like once a month. And I met Letitia. And that's what I'm saying about like going into spaces and meeting people, right? Because there were people in the room who were batshit, right? And then there were people in the room like Letitia. It's like, okay, she's smart. She talks smart. And then you read her pages. Oh my God, this is a good writer. I need to get to know her. I need to read her stuff. I love the way she talks. I love the way she gives me notes. So this is how you build your community, right? So in terms of like getting started, open up a document and start to write something. Don't make it difficult. Don't overthink it. You gotta open up and just move your fingers. What do you want to talk about? Who do you want to talk about? Write down a character name. Write down, oh, this is a story about my mother. This is a story about my aunt, whatever. This is the story about the time I fell off my bike. Open up a document and just write it. Don't think it. Don't come to me and tell me what you've been thinking about. I don't care. Write it. When someone comes to me, they're like, I got this idea. It's like, write it down. Write a paragraph. Tell me a story. Tell me the story that's in your heart and in your head. Just write it. That is the thing that we have to do. We have to practice moving our fingers. If you're a handwriter, you got to practice moving your hand. That is the job. That is the gig. If you're an actor, you have to practice acting. Make some self-tapes. Put them on YouTube. Put them on TikTok. Put them on Instagram. And stop thinking about whether somebody's going to like it or not. This is your journey, your craft. You got to get to know it. So you got to do it or die. If you don't do it, don't talk to me about helping you. I can't help you. Letitia can't help you. Nobody can help you if you're not actively doing it. So start with writing, right? So you open up a Word document, a Pages document, the Notes app on your phone, on the train, I don't care. A friend of ours, she was working for Nickelodeon, and she wanted to write a web series. Her hour from the Bronx to her office in Midtown was an hour. She wrote her web series on her phone to and from work for a year. And she produced it, and she was able to quit her job. I want you to hear how possible it is that the only thing that you're putting in front of yourself is you. I'm waiting. I'm waiting to see your stuff, read your stuff. I'm waiting. Tisha's waiting. We're all waiting. So write it. Do it.
Thank you.
Hi. First, I want to say thank you for coming here to inspire everyone, and kudos to everyone who came, who took the time out of their day to be here and be inspired. Applause to everyone, to yourselves. My name is Sharon. Everyone calls me Pri. I am a former hip-hop artist turned creative educator and photographer, and I run an organization where I teach youth creative career skills, and I am a photographer transitioning into film. And my question to you, from the perspective of me being, teaching my youth, and just me as a woman, as a Black woman trying to get into video and film, excuse me, my voice, because I'm kind of losing it. But my question is, you spoke of mentorship earlier. From your lens, what are, if you know of any form of like mentorship programs or opportunities for youth or women like myself to go in, who want to go into the film industry and maybe shadow someone and see how it's done technically versus, sitting in a class and like seeing someone, straight ahead, like having that opportunity to get hands-on experience?
If you had to choose a show that you would love to shadow on, what would it be?
It would be, I don't really watch a lot of television, so let's start with that. But I do.
See, now I'm going to stop talking to you.
No, but wait.
No, and I'm going to let you finish. But
Because
you have to participate in the medium that you want to be in.
I want to be in music videos. My realm is like videos and music.
Okay.
And things of that nature.
So who are your heroes? Who are the people that whose work you've seen that you would love to shadow?
Sergio. I like David LaChapelle. He also does videos. I like, there's another artist that I can't remember, that slipped my mind.
Okay. All right, good. So this is helpful, right? So here's your journey, right? You got to find out who makes the kind of things you want to make, and you can find them on social media. I can think right now of like 3 or 4 DPs that I follow who shoot videos. Ozzy Scott, one of them. All right, so there are a few of them. You got to find them. You got to know who they are and what they're shooting. And this is the work that you have to do. If you know it already, then you need to start following them, engaging. You got to build relationships with people who are doing the things that you want to do.
Yes.
Find them.
I will state that as far as directors, my favorites are Stanley Kubrick and Wes.
He's dead.
But I still like.
Okay, but who's alive that you can follow?
I like Spike.
Spike Lee's great. He's here in Brooklyn somewhere, all right? Or probably in Midtown, or probably in LA. He can be anywhere. You never know with Spike, right? So, great, Spike Lee. But does he do the thing you want to do?
I guess it's more so of how it's shot and the technical aspect of the cinematography and the camera.
Okay, great. So then you got to meet cinematographers. There's a black. So here's some statistics, right? In the cinematography union, I don't know how many cinematographers there are in the union, but there's less than 3% of them are black. It's just appalling. So I know a cinematographer. His name, again, I can't remember his name right now. I call him Unk, right? He was the cinematographer on this show called Younger that was on Lifetime or one of those channels, I don't know, right? Look it up, right? So Unk is, and if you look up the cinematographer, you'll see his name. He was the only one. The show was on for 7 years, and he was the only cinematographer they had. He shot everything, right? And he's shooting a whole bunch of other things. So you have to get to know who's doing the thing you want to do. Look up Ernest Dickerson, right? Speaking of Spike. So that's the work you have to do. You got to figure out who's doing what you want to do and then find a way to connect to them. Cinematographers, nobody wants to talk to them. It's just, that's for real. Unless I'm hiring them, nobody's asking them questions unless you're interested in cinematography. And you will find a mentor, right? You will find somebody. Do you have a social media presence?
Yes.
Do you have a website?
Yes.
Do you have your work on a website somewhere?
Yes.
Great.
I'm going into film, so everything is basically.
It's okay, right? Because you're in photography, right? So your eye is there. The way that you see things are there. Somebody can look and see your work and see the potential of how you see things, right? So then, if you do that and you start reaching out, so I would reach out with a purpose. What are you doing? What do you want to shoot? You want to make something. Always go to somebody and say, I'm making this, and this is my issue. Do you have a suggestion? Rather than, I want to be a cinematographer, can you help me? That doesn't help anybody help you. It's got to be a specific ask that comes from what you're doing, not what you're thinking about. So build a project, something you want to do. Find a filmmaker here that's a director or writer or producer. Say, I'll shoot it for you. Make the relationships. Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Cool. Hi. Oh, right
Hi.
here. Hi. My name is Vanessa Milu. I'm also from Harlem, so hey.
Hello.
You're very inspiring, gotta say. I have a question because I'm a writer and I'm interested in segueing into the animation and anime space. So like you mentioned, we would be able to ask you about on advice for finding an agent. So could you speak more on that, please?
What do you need an agent for?
Well, for my writing. Or like writing into, like segueing into TV, like streaming or TV, like how like a platform in which I can put my serial animation, like my animated serial on their platform.
Okay, so you just said a bunch of words.
Yes, I
And
did.
it was a word salad.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so, and that's, and it's okay, right? Because we're here and it's, and this is how I can help you. What do you want to do?
I want to make an animated show.
Yes, love it, right?
Yeah.
What is your favorite animated show?
Probably Rick and Morty.
Love it. Give me two more.
I can give you Cowboy Bebop and Inuyasha.
Great. Are they making those currently?
Rick and Morty is still being made.
Okay.
Cowboy Bebop is now a live action show.
Okay, so you got to think about what shows are actually being made right now, who's making them, and how can you get access to them,
Okay.
right? And you said transitioning, so I don't know anything about animation. It's, you know, it's not my strong suit, but it's like, what do you, I have a friend, his name is, okay, we're going to wrap it up. They give me the woo, woo. So I have a friend who is a writer, and he posts his animation on Instagram. His name is Dan Hershon, right? He also wants to do what you do, and he makes these little snippets, and they're hilarious, right? So you got to be intentional about what you're going to do, so that it's visible, so that if you make a connection to somebody, whether it's an agent or a manager, they can Google you when you're not looking, and they can find stuff about you, stuff that you've done, so that this transition into sounds to me like, I don't know that you've done something that is discoverable, right? So you have to have work that's discoverable, so somebody can say, I love it, I would love to hear more, or talk to you more. So, and then building a network, you got to find other animators who are where you want to be, and you got to make relationships with them. Cool.
Hi, my name is Tanya Tomlinson, and I'm a philanthropist. I am not a filmmaker. However, what I do requires a large production team. So my question is, when you are dealing with your production team, do you oversee it and give them a way you want them to be done, or you allow them to give you what they have in mind after you give them the idea and then look over it? Or what kind of process do you really use?
If I hire you to do a job, you better do your job. I got other stuff to do. I gotta take this jacket back. I don't know if I like it yet. Do we like the jacket? I think I like it. Yeah, never mind. I was gonna do a bit. But here's the thing, right? So you gotta decide what kind of boss you are, right? What do you need in order to have a smooth, comfortable run? Do you need to micromanage people? That probably might not be the best way to do it, right? So you can't, right? So that means preparation is it's everything. Asking the right questions, interviewing people, getting a sense of who they are. I can tell in 30 seconds whether or not I want to be with you, spend 12 hours with you or not. And it doesn't mean that you're a bad person or you're an awful person. It just means I don't, not for me. And I got to decide that, right? It takes me less than 30 seconds. Like, yeah, no, somebody else. So it all depends on the production, the amount, the money. The more people that are involved in the final, it's a whole big thing. But for me, I really work hard to hire the right people and let them do their job. You're welcome. I think we are done. Yes. We are done, people. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Give it up one more time for Mr. Craig T. Williams. Thank you so much for that bountiful amount of information. All right, thank you guys so much. We have a mixer that's right outside. If you go outside to the right, there's a step and repeat if you want to take some photographs. If you go to the left, we have some refreshments, and we'll be having a DJ playing some music. Please enjoy yourselves. Tomorrow, let you guys know, tomorrow, Media Maker Weekend is going to start a little later than expected. So come about 1 o'clock. 1:30 will be the first workshop tomorrow, not 11:30 as originally planned. So if you come back tomorrow at 1 o'clock for the first few workshops, okay? We'll be screening The Warriors tomorrow. We will be having a wonderful workshop. We'll be having our headshots tomorrow. Come for free headshots tomorrow. We have a behind-the-scenes photography workshop tomorrow. Please make sure you come back. 1 o'clock is the start time for tomorrow for the third and final day of Media Maker Weekend. Thank you guys for coming. Please go outside, get some refreshments, enjoy the music, enjoy the night, guys. Thank you very much. Right outside.
You're watching Brooklyn Free Speech HD.